On today's episode of the DuckZone503 Podcast, we're going to be recapping and reacting to this Week 9 matchup of number 8 Oregon at number 13 Utah. I'm your host, Dominiqk Peterson. This is the DuckZone503 Podcast, where we talk all things Oregon football. Let's get into it, people.
Welcome to the DuckZone503 Podcast, talking all things Oregon football. With your host, Dominiqk Peterson. Let's go.
Welcome into today's edition of the DuckZone503 Podcast. People, the date is Saturday, October 28th, 2023, and I am ecstatic to be with you. First and foremost, guys, I know what everybody's waiting for. My formal apology to all Duck fans out there, because I chose Utah to win this game. In our preview and prediction episode, everybody's seen it, 32 to 28. Look, it's not that I didn't think the Ducks were good enough. It's not that I'm not a fan. Okay, I'm obviously a strong Duck fan, but when I do my preview and prediction, I'm basing it off, history of the matchup, taking into account that the Ducks haven't really played a defense like this yet, and they just come out and completely prove me wrong. So either way, I came out a winner because my team won. I may have looked stupid on my prediction, but that's what I wanted as a fan. So it's all wins all around out here, and this is my formal apology to all Duck fans. I can hear it in the comments. I can take the heat. I'm stupid. L take from Dominic, and that's what we wanted. We wanted the Ducks to win, so it's a celebration. My take was horrible for this game. I had the Ducks losing by 4. I just thought, Utah winning 18 games, straight. The way their defense was looking, they're just coming off a big victory. I thought this was going to be a very tough game for the Ducks. I said Ducks would lose this game from the preseason, so it's not like I changed up my opinion. I stayed consistent, and it just showed up that the Ducks are a true college football playoff contender. With Oklahoma losing today, that looks like more of a window of opportunity opening up now for the Ducks. College football playoff talk, possible rematch with Washington. A lot of football, a whole month of football in November to be played. But man, oh man, Ducks get a huge victory today, 35-6 final, where they really just controlled this game throughout. I appreciate everybody for tuning in as you guys come on into the live here on YouTube and Twitter, and we're going to upload this on Spotify. So if you're listening on Spotify after this is out, make sure to rate the podcast. If you're watching, you're not subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button down below. We're at 970 subscribers, people. We're almost there to 1,000, which was our goal when we started this season. So let's go. Let's get us there. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Tell your friends and families about the podcast, and let's go Ducks. So now that's out the way, I got my apology over. You guys can let me hear it. As long as it's all in good faith, go ahead and let me hear it in the comments. But don't come after me in a horrible type of way, in a disrespectful type of way, in a personal type of way. Those people get the block button instantly. But if you want to poke the bear, I had the Ducks losing this game, and they won. So go ahead and poke the bear in the comments if you want. But please keep it in good faith, people. Other than that, guys, what a win from the Ducks. Talk about a dominant performance, 35-6, where, Ducks came in as a 6-point favorite. A lot of pundits had this game close, and the Ducks just came out from the jump, getting it done. First quarter, okay, we're up. First drive, we go down the field, and Will Stein in this offense, Dominiqk come out on fire. I think Dominiqk started this game 6-6, 80 yards. You had a few drop passes in this game. Here, I'm going to pull up the Utah-Oregon 2023 ESPN. I want to pull this up, and let's go over some stats. I always like to look at the box score and the stats, because Dominiqk is just every game, man, absolutely phenomenal. And I said this when we had Marcus Mariota, guys. We cannot take this guy for granted, because just the way he plays each and every game is just so consistently good. We're talking close to 80% completion rating for Dominiqk on the year through, 8 games now. This is unheard of, guys, this level of play. Now, he kind of fell out of the conversation for Heisman when, he took that loss to Washington. But even in that game, I like to argue, he had a better game statistically than Michael Penix did. He had no turnovers in that game, over 300 yards offense, and, we just ended up losing that game by 3. Dominiqk 24-31 on the day, only 7 incompletions, 24 completions, guys, 248 yards through the air. He also used his legs a bit in key plays. He had a touchdown with his legs. So 3 touchdowns overall for Bo Nix, 8 yards per pass. That's one thing I said in this game that I thought Oregon really had the advantage is Utah gave up a lot of explosive plays. They were dead last in the conference in explosive plays given up. They gave up 11 plays of 40 yards or more on the year coming into this matchup. So I thought with Trayshawn Holden, Tej Johnson, Troy Franklin, Gary Bryant Jr., Oregon was able to use their weapons on the outside to really hurt this Utah defense. I thought it would be tougher to run the ball than what we did. Shout out Bucky Irving and Jordan James for really running that ball tough. Bucky Irving finishes with 14 carries, 83 yards, 6 yards at average. Jordan James, 7.6 yards per carry. This is something all year, guys, that the Ducks offensively have been just stout. Shout out Carlos Lachlan, shout out the O-line blocking for these guys because, man, getting 5, 6, 7 yards a carry is huge relief for Bo Nix. Talking about these little slant plays, these little quick screen plays. The game plan today was to get it out quick. Don't let that Utah pass rush get to Bo Nix, and it worked tremendously because this run game was really able to run the game awesomely. Open up this run game. And when you have a run game that can just consistently run the ball like that and where the defense has to respect it, they creep up and it allows the middle of the field to get open. We've seen it time and time in this game. The middle of the field just getting wide open. Those out routes on the sideline against one-on-one coverage just open. And our wide receivers were just that much better than Utah's defensive backs. And I thought that was a weapon that we could exploit. We definitely did. Bo Nix had a huge day. We didn't really run the ball as much as we did. 14 carries, 5 for Bucky Irving, 5 for Jordan James. Not a lot of carries in this game, but you didn't need to. Like I said, it was more of getting these guys, Troy Franklin, Tej Johnson, Terrence Ferguson had his one catch for 20 yards was probably the catch of the game, guys. That was absolutely what a catch between 2 defenders. Catches that ball. Absolutely awesome. Let's talk about the defense a little bit. The defense was awesome. Getting to Bryson Barnes a bunch of times. He only finishes with 136 yards passing, 2 interceptions. Probably one of his worst games of the year due to this Duck defense and the pressure we were able to get in his face. Only 4.7 yards per pass. This Utah offense just got completely shut down. Their running backs, this was a big surprise, guys. Their running backs did not run the ball that well at all. They finished with only 99 rushing yards. If you were to tell me that Utah is going to finish with under 100 yards rushing in this game, that, in Josh Pate's words, would be a padlock stat, guys. Shout out the front 7 getting it done, because I really thought in my preview prediction, I thought the reason why I thought Utah would get to that 32 points that I thought they would have gotten to is because I thought that Washington ran the ball pretty damn well, and they have a good offensive line. But I thought this Utah offensive line was more physical and a better offensive line than Washington's, and I thought they had better backs than Washington as well. And Utah, all year long, ran the ball effectively on every team they played. They averaged around 250 yards, just around there, 240 yards of rushing offense. For the Ducks to hold them under 100 yards of rushing, talk about a big-time game for the defense. They forced turnovers, 2 interceptions thrown. Shout out Tyshim Johnson, player of the game, probably on the defensive side. Tyshim Johnson getting those 2 picks, making plays. Shout out Tyshim Johnson, man. Big-time safety that the Ducks picked up through the transfer portal this season from Ole Miss. Ducks put up nearly 400 yards of offense, so Utah did hold them under their season average, but nonetheless didn't matter when the defense is giving up only 6 points in the game. Man, what a game overall. Both sides of the ball. I got to say, this is probably, to be honest with you guys, probably the best performance from the Ducks all year. In Texas Tech, they started kind of slow. Washington, you allowed Washington to get that first score, take the momentum of the game. And for Oregon, the first drive, come out, march down the field, get in that touchdown, and take that lead. That's how you get the momentum of the game, man. And then, on defense, you're just making plays. That crowd, they've won a bunch of games there. I think they won 18 straight. Their last loss with fans in that stadium was in 2018, guys, 5 years ago. What were you doing 5 years ago? I mean, we got it done, guys. We got it done. We showed them what a real college football playoff team looks like, Pac-12 championship contenders. And with Oklahoma losing today, I got to look at this USC score. Let's do it right now. USC Cal Bears. What's the score? USC, oh my gosh, guys, as we speak, Cal is beating USC 42-29. Man, and Oregon State goes to play Arizona tonight, 7:30. We all know how Pac-12 after dark gets. It's going to be a fun Saturday, guys, and we get to party because the Ducks get a big win. Now our big games left. Cal looks really good, guys, 42-29 over USC. We get them next. That's our next game. We cannot sleep on the Cal Bears the way they're playing. USC at home. That game looks a lot more favorable than it did just a couple weeks ago. With USC, the way they're trending, their team looks to be packing it in, to be honest with you. If they're getting blown out by Cal, they might just be packing it in. That looks like it's going to be a big victory for the Ducks there. And then you go on the road to Arizona State. That should be a win. Hopefully, November games in the desert have not been favorable, no matter how bad Arizona teams. I get it, Arizona State's really bad, but just watch out. Okay, gotta handle business. I do think the Ducks will get a large victory on the road there, and then finish the game to finish off the season. This is going to be absolutely huge because Oregon State has an opportunity to knock off everything the Ducks are going for at home. If the Ducks win out at that point, and let's say Oregon State wins out, both teams can have 10 wins going into that game. This is the last Civil War. I mean, that's going to be absolutely huge game. A lot of stakes on the line. And then if we win that one and Washington does what they do, watch out, guys. Now, there's a lot of football. We can get that rematch. And there is nothing more. I've said this already. There is nothing more than what I would love to see Washington in that Pac-12 championship here in Vegas. I'm actually here in Vegas, guys. Here, check it out. Right outside the window right there is Las Vegas. So I'm hoping to be back here in just 1 month to watch our Ducks play Washington. We got some comments here. Vince, go Ducks. Yes, sir. Go Ducks. We get it done. Party. I'll be partying tonight. You guys already know. You know what else I'll be doing is, while I'm in Vegas, I love to watch sports and make some money. It's part of being in Vegas out here. And the way I do that is by Mojo Fantasy, playing some Mojo Fantasy. If you guys haven't heard of it, I'm absolutely in love with it. It's a crazy new app that turns sportsbook odds and selections into fantasy contests. So here's how it works. There are thousands of NFL and MLB player props. You build a portfolio, and the better your portfolio performs, the more cash you win. Pick as many props as you want and try to beat the crowd. It's a whole new way to play fantasy. The props act like stocks, so you can buy and sell live all game long. It's the only fantasy app that allows you to make moves after the game starts, so you're not stuck with a bad pick. You can cash in on a hot start or hang on and just let them ride. Cash contests are based on real sportsbook odds. Get the same live player props and selections. Odds and cash outs are based on New Jersey sportsbooks. Trade sports just like stocks. You control the action, guys. Ride your picks, cash out, or enter new positions instantly. No house advantage. Beat the crowd by building the biggest portfolio to climb to the leaderboard and win cash prizes. That's it, guys. Make picks, make moves, make money. Download now on the Apple App Store. Use my code DuckZone for a 100% deposit match up to $100 for your first time deposit. Link in the description for more if you guys want to go ahead and do that. All right, we're sitting here 35-6. Final number 8, Oregon gets it done over number 13, Utah on the road. One of the best road victories I've seen in a while for Oregon. I mean, we had college game day here, national audience. This was a must win for both teams if we're talking college football playoff contention. And shout out to the Utes, man. They have solid fan base, loud fan base. They love their football team. We've had some excellent matchups over the years. And for this to be the last one, it's kind of sad. Utah's going to the Big 12. Oregon's going to go on to the Big 10. Let me just tell you right now, Utah fans, if you're listening, I think you guys have a great chance to take over that league. I mean, you look at the Big 12, the state of the Big 12 right now, Oklahoma, Oklahoma just went down. Texas, they have a loss already. And those two teams are going to the SEC next year. So they lose those two teams, and then you're going to that league. I think Utes have a great opportunity in the Big 12 to really do some things. The playoff expands to 12 teams. So watch out. And then Oregon going to the Big 10. Let's look ahead here. You want to look at the 4 West Coast teams. We got Washington, Oregon, UCLA, USC going to the Big 10. Out of those 4 teams, which team looks better prepared to handle big-time offensive lines, big time running the football, ground and pound, 3 yards in a cloud of dust type of football the Big Ten provides? Which team looks more ready, more prepared? I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to put my money, and I get it, I'm a homer for this, but Dan Lanning and the Ducks, even if I wasn't a Duck fan, I was just looking on the outside in, this team looks ready, and more physical, more prepped and more ready for this Big Ten run that we're about to go on next year than any other West Coast team that's going in. Look, Dan Lanning 2023, the recruiting class. You all know it. I really get on recruiting in the offseason. Try to hit up, recruiting interviews, get the players on here that Oregon's going after in the offseason. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already, by the way. But when I talk to these guys, a lot of these guys that I talk to are either offensive linemen and defensive linemen. Because when Dan Lanning came in, he's seen what we had, and he knew if we're going to go to the Big Ten, we're going to need some offensive linemen, defensive linemen. Guys, total of 10 defensive linemen and offensive linemen signed in the class of 2023. In 2024, we just had a big-time 5-star visit. We missed on Brandon Baker. I get it, but we're in it for a 5-star. We just landed a 5-star defensive lineman in Aiden Breland. Watch out. Dan Lanning and the Ducks are built for this. They went up against a big-time physical Utah team that, kind of replicates those, maybe like an Iowa or a Wisconsin, right? Big-time physical, big offensive linemen, physical run first teams that the Big Ten really has to offer. Oregon just showed up. They can go toe-to-toe. We went to Ohio State in 2021, shocked the world. I mean, I think that Oregon has a good chance to really contend the Big Ten, no doubt. Let's see what's going on, Matthew. I told you, son, these guys are not messing around with anyone. Dan going in front of the crowd for me. I knew. Oh, yeah, let's talk about that, man. Dan Lanning, our guy, Oregon head coach, going out in front of College game day, people. I think he's the first coach. I don't remember a coach going out in front of the away team's crowd, turning around and looking at them and throwing the O up. He was even trying to get the other guys that were sitting at the table, Kirk Herbstreit and all of them, to throw the O up. He was trying, man. I love it, man. I love it. Dan showed composure to go in there and stay calm and do his thing. And I didn't expect him to look at the crowd and engage and throw that. Oh, I mean, that really got him going, and I love it. I love it. That's my head coach, man. Dan Lanning. I love it. Utah is a Big Ten team. They were depleted, so the Ducks took advantage. But if they weren't this would be a different story. They deserve respect. Absolutely. That's one thing that we should definitely talk about, Matthew. Thanks for bringing my guy. Is how depleted this Utah team is, and they came with one loss. I mean, this team lost their starting quarterback, their starting tight end that were both at one time all Pac-12, first team, second team, whatever type players, right? Really one of the Brett Keithy and Cam Rising. That was a lot of their offensive production over the last couple of years. And you lose to those two guys, and then you lose 2 running backs. You lose a linebacker that was starting for you. I mean, this team came in hobbled. You want to talk about injury riddled? I haven't seen something like this. Just hit, like, I've seen injuries on a team, but not to like star players. Like every star player you got, every viable source of production for your team is gone, and you're still out here 6-1. Now, it didn't look pretty against the Ducks, but look, the Ducks had a lot more depth. They were a lot more healthier, and I think they were just better primed and better prepped for this one. But shout out Utah. Like I said, you guys have a fan base that loves their team. You guys only sitting there with 2 losses. I mean, would you take that? Starting quarterback, starting 2 running backs, starting linebacker, a plethora of other guys that I'm sure our guy JT Wister still on Locked On Youths that we had here on the preview prediction episode can talk about. And they still get it done, man. I'm impressed, man. Shout out Utah fans of what they done. Shout out the Ducks as they get it done 35-6. Big time Saturday recap and analysis episode here. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. That's going to do it for me here. I'm in Las Vegas. I'm going to go out and have myself a party. Go Ducks. Ducks get it done. Final 35-6. I'm going to have the preview and prediction episode out on Wednesday later this week with hopefully a special guest trying to get the guys on Rivals. So I'll keep you guys updated. If not, might just be me previewing and predicting that. But guys, Cal's up. Last time I just checked, we just seen it 42-29 on USC. USC, I get it. They're looking like they're packing their season in, kind of giving up on what they had planned. These guys were predicted by some to go to the college football playoff, and they're getting their ass handed to them by Cal. And Cal, if they're going to get a big time win like that, just like Utah did, they're coming in confident to Autzen. So don't sleep on this Cal Bears team. They look like they're a lot better than last year, defensively and offensively, this Cal Bears team. Now they come into Autzen. It's going to be a big advantage for the Ducks. Ducks should win that game. So we're going to see what happens. I'm going to have that preview and prediction episode for you guys on Wednesday. Make sure you guys tune in. Make sure you follow our social medias at DuckZone503. Just got to 3.5K on Instagram. Appreciate everybody who follows the Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and Facebook profiles. As always, guys, go Ducks. I'm your host, Dominiqk Peterson. I'll see you in the next one.